Um, what's a weekly?
It wasn't that long ago. With Rec Room's current player base, it's not surprising that many of you may not even know what a weekly is. In short, players used to be able to unlock free skins by completing a set of challenges. However, nowadays, most skins are locked behind a paywall. It sucks. I know that. But I wanted to make its history a little more known. Hopefully, by the time I finish shooting and editing this video, I'll have finished getting the Fandom Wiki website up to scratch. If I was able to do that, a full history of every weekly skin can be found on that website, both in the weekly rotation archive and the item skins page. The story of this beloved tradition began on the 11th of July, 2017. 3 skins released with some difficult challenges. Get a 3-player hit streak on Homestead with the paintball pistol. By doing that 10 times, you would unlock the wooden paintball pistol skin. Blocking a paintball in Homestead, by blocking 100 of those, you would receive the wooden paintball shield skin. And lastly, hitting 2 players with 1 shotgun shot at least once would reward you with the wooden paintball shotgun skin. At the time, Homestead was the only paintball map there was, which is why all the challenges revolve around it. These were the first ever weekly challenges and weekly skins, although players would only have 4 days to complete these, which doesn't make it much of a weekly. As more of these challenges were released, they would alter slightly. Other challenges included finishing under par in a specific disc golf map, completing Golden Trophy, getting 10 separate 3-player hit streaks in paintball with specific weapons, hitting X number of players with a specified weapon in paintball, capturing the flag 10 times within paintball, destroying specific enemy types in Jumbotron, completing 20 paintball games, and completing Jumbotron without losing an ally. The list goes on and on. These early challenges were specific and truly challenging. However, this would soon be changed. The week of September 10th through the 16th of 2017, there would be no weekly challenges. This is when they decided that they wanted to rework the weekly system. However, just that next week, the weeklies would continue as they had been. It wouldn't be until a month later, on the 15th of October 2017, that we would see the change. This weekly rotation would only hold 1 skin. This skin changed every weekly after it. This momentous skin was none other than the Ghost Bow. The challenges were lessened and easier to accomplish, yet still different than what most of us would later get used to. The Ghost Bow's challenges were defeating 10 Elite Knights, 40 Elite Imps, and 75 Elite Goblins, all within Golden Trophy. We also start to see challenges that we have become more accustomed to seeing, such as this one, and some that we aren't, like how 3D charades used to be a weekly challenge, as well as cheering another player? Isn't that supposed to be a daily challenge? Paddleball and Shield Soccer had challenges tied to them as well. During this time, you had to complete all 3 challenges to unlock the skin. That was until the 3rd of July 2019, with the re-release of the Coach Select Disc skin. By that time, Isle of the Lost Skulls, Crescendo of the Blood Moon, and Rec Royale had launched, but Rec Room had also come to some less powerful devices. The Oculus Quest 1 had recently been released, with Rec Room being added to its library. By the end of June, the Quest could run most RROs. Because lower platforms couldn't run every Rec Room original, the weekly challenge system was changed once again. According to the Wiki's timeline, weekly challenges shifted to needing to complete only 3 of 5 challenges on the 27th of June, 2019. This is when we received the system that we all knew and loved for the next 5 years. The weekly challenges were broken down into 3 different categories, each being on its own rotation. As more RROs were released, more of these challenges were added. However, this was fairly uncommon. To my knowledge, these were not officially named, so I'll call them as such: Quest, PvP, and Activity. Quests would receive 2 slots of the 5 total per week. These were simply completing Golden Trophy, Crimson Cauldron, Rise of Jumbotron, Isle of the Lost Skulls, or Crescendo. These were on the rotation to make sure that Isle of the Lost Skulls and Crescendo would not appear on the same week. The PvP category would also receive 2 of the 5 challenge spots per week. These challenges included completing 10 games of paintball, completing 10 games of laser tag, getting 5 hit streaks in paintball games, getting 5 hit streaks in laser tag games, or eliminating 5 players in Rec Royale. The activity category would only receive 1 slot per week, and these would include finishing under par in disc golf, completing 10 dodgeball games, or completing 5 Rec Rally games. This setup allowed any player on any platform to always be allowed to complete at least 3 of the 5 challenges, thus allowing anyone to earn the weekly skin by completing the challenges. This system would remain unchanged, with one exception of Rec Rally getting added, up until the 6th of December 2022. Staff would make an announcement that the weekly challenges would no longer be weekly. In addition to that, every skin moving forward would be a new skin, no more re-releases. At the time, players were complaining that there were too many re-releases. I'll go more into depth on that later, but for now I'll simply say those who complained were not justified. Coming back to that announcement, the weeklies would become known in the community as Monthlies, as on the 2nd Wednesday of each month, we would receive a new skin for that week only. Essentially 1 skin a month, with only 1 week to obtain it. The announcement promised players that this would be a temporary change. The weekly challenge system would be reworked once again. However, what we assume will be temporary often becomes permanent. Temporary, in the eyes of many corporations, is simply a means to test the community's tolerance. It's a good life lesson too, by the way. As time dragged on, only receiving 1 skin a month, the community started to ask, where is this new weekly system we were promised? It would then be revealed that whichever staff member had been working on the new system had left Rec Room. No other staff member had picked up that project. So what now? Business as usual. 1 skin a month. However, at this point, many players who enjoyed doing the weekly challenges had left. Not only was their reason for logging on nearly dissolved, but it appeared to happen at random. Occasionally, staff would forget what week it was, so the weekly skin would release a week late. Additionally, Rec Room's player base had shifted since 2017. No longer was the game focused on Rec Room originals, with a more teen adult audience. Now, with a mobile and more accessible technology, Rec Room is played by all ages more commonly. With a focus on UGC rooms and less mature audience, the number of players who completed the weekly challenges each month continued to dwindle. On the 7th of June 2024, the monthly weekly was announced to be discontinuing. The final weekly would take place on the week of the 12th through 19th of June 2024. Speculation on what the final skin would be sparked excitement within the community. Additionally, to help lessen the removal of the weekly challenges, full body avatar access was sneakily announced to be coming to all players, not just level 40 and above as it had been at that time. Will this last skin be a new Maker Pen? What about a Pride skin? This would be happening in June. It had to be something good to send off with such a widely loved system. Right? Nope, apparently not. The last weekly was the Pumpkin Spice Boots. Not a skin, not an avatar item compatible with bean avatars, but boots. For a little more context, these boots belonged to a set that had been released in autumn of 2023. This set was fairly affordable, unlike most sets in recent years. 2 pieces that added up to 2,500 tokens total. Current prices for shoe items were at 6,000 tokens on average. This means that the final weekly would be an avatar item that will be re-released in a shop, likely later that year, for what should have been a very cheap price. Congrats to everyone who did this final challenge. You saved yourself 1,000 tokens. To rub salt on the wound, it was discovered that there were no skins planned ahead of time for this monthly. The Bat Bucket was originally going to be the weekly challenge skin, despite it being a repeat. So on top of the whole boot situation, the second part of the original promise was going to be broken, had it not been the boots. And the first part of that promise was already broken because they're no longer doing weekly challenges. Now, why were repeats so bad? Personally, I liked repeats. A repeat was when a skin that had already debuted as a weekly returned as a weekly. In the early days of weekly challenges, eventually one of the 3 skins was new, while the other 2 were repeats. This would allow all players to have something to do that week. If you missed a skin or were new to the game, you'd have a chance to claim a new skin. If you had already collected all the skins at that point, there would still be at least 1 skin for you that week. This started to become a problem when the weekly challenges became 1 skin a week. Weekly challenges, for many people, were their sole reason to log into Rec Room for the week. If you already owned the skin, there'd be no point in doing the challenges. If you were to complete them, you'd only receive a 4-star box, which would become more pointless as time went on. Since 2021, Rec Room has lost sight of the star system, often going months without releasing a single new 1 to 4 star rated item. So if you are already max level or played lots of RROs, you likely owned every 4-star item and below, which would mean the weekly challenges only rewarded consumables. Additionally, many textures got a little bit of a bad rap. When there were multiple items getting the same skin, players would feel a little burnt out. This is mostly known from the numerous Caution, Plaid, and Purple Plaid skins. Despite being widely considered ugly, they released and re-released fairly often. But just how often is often? 2021 oversaw the release of 8 of the 15 Caution skins that existed at that time. Caution has the most number of items skinned at 16. So were they burnt out because of re-releases, or just Caution? I'd also like to cover how often re-releases happened. For weekly skins only, 2017 had 41 unique skins released. This was during the 3 skins a week time period. It only had 9 re-releases. 2018 released 19 unique skins, but also released 4 avatar items, 29 re-releases for 2018. 2019 released 16 unique skins, but released 5 avatar items. There were 32 re-releases for 2019. 2020 released 22 unique skins, and 30 re-releases. 2021 released 25 skins, and 3 avatar items. There were only 24 re-releases for that year. 2022 released 16 skins and 1 avatar item, but it also lost a month of potential skins because we moved to monthlies. There were 33 re-releases for 2022. On average, by the time that the weeklies were changed to monthlies, a new skin was being released every other week. At worst, we'd have 2 repeats, then a new skin. The irony is that by making weekly skins monthly, we received less skins than when we had repeats mixed in. This may have also been a masterful move on Rec Room's part, because it looked like things were getting better to the community as a whole, but in reality, Rec Room was just taking all those repeats that were not being used and putting them in shops so that they can profit from them. The weekly skins started being added to shops about a month before the weeklies turned to monthlies. And lastly, a pattern that I found was that every skin capped at 4 releases. After a skin released, then re-released 3 more times, it would not release again. This pattern was broken by the Ricasso Dodgeball after it returned 3 months after it released for its 4th time. That was the 25th of May through the 1st of June, and the 18th through 17th of August 2022. This was way too close for a re-release. I believe that the last time a skin released with that little time between it was in 2017, when there were no other skins to be chosen from. Some fun trivia for you. The first skins to ever repeat were the Caution Laser Burst Gun, the Yellow Disc, which is now gold, and the Goblin Shield. And the first skin to be released 3 times, as well as a 4th time, was the Goblin Shield. This is why I was personally disappointed when the Ricasso Dodgeball was the first one to release for a 5th time. With this culture of weekly skins and repeats, there began to be some bigotry over owning specific skins. Older players wanted to gatekeep the very thing that was meant to be free for all. And this is why I liked repeats. Because if you joined the game late, then you would not have any chance to get any skins that existed previously. Repeats allowed any player to obtain any weekly skin at any time, and that's what the weekly skins were created for. If you wanted a rare skin, you needed to earn it, and not just exist during that specific week. Pretty soon, the Ghost Bow was deemed to be the rarest skin in the game. Despite that being blatantly false, this is how it was perceived. It was the oldest skin to never have repeated. But did you know that based on the last time it was released, there is an even rarer skin? The Yellow Disc released twice, both of which happened before the Ghost Bow's debut. It would later be recolored as gold and offered as a league reward. This is why many people don't count it as the rarest weekly, although not many players have earned it through leagues. I'd say it's safe to assume that it is still held by less players than the Ghost Bow. Returning to the Ghost Bow, the perceived rarity of it might be what caused its downfall. Actually, it isn't what might have been. It is what caused the downfall. This highly coveted skin was eventually re-released in a shop, as most weekly skins have been since a month before the monthlies were announced. The price of which was 25,000 tokens. This is insane. It became the most expensive item in the game at the time. Right now it is currently being outshone by some TMNT's items. The reasoning behind this was to respect older players by making them feel better for owning a 25,000 token item? If you buy this for even a second, let me enlighten you. The staff also said that they tracked the rarity of items, which is why the Ghost Bow was priced so highly. However, let me tell you about the 3rd rarest skin based on last release. This skin was released 2 months after the Ghost Bow had originally, and similarly, it too had never been re-released. The Gingerbread Paintball Shield, originally known as a soccer shield, released in an S shop just months prior to the Ghost Bow's pricey re-release. And this shield was priced at 1,200 tokens. Does that sound like that is rare? This skin that was similar in rarity, quote unquote, was more than 20 times cheaper than the Ghost Bow. Rec Rooms scammed you if you bought that bow. This is why I do not call anything rare in Rec Room unless there is a number attached. We don't know how many people did the weekly challenges. Don't assume any of the weekly skins are rare just because they are old. Old does not mean rare. But, in case you don't believe me, the next rarest weekly skin that has not released in a shop is the Candy Cane Crossbow, originally known as the Sweet Crossbow. It has only ever been released once, back on the 30th of December 2017, and I'll bet my pink maker pen that it'll be less than 8,000 tokens. It's been sad to see the weekly challenges go. We'll never get this influx of free skins ever again. Everything now will be earned through programs, contests, or simply purchased. I'll see you in the library, Rextorians.